Warning! Watching Reactive Terrain RC may cause sudden urges to buy just one more micro RC. Side effects may include angry spouse, living room converted into crawler course, and uncontrollable impulse RC purchasing. Viewers' discretion is advised. Terms and conditions apply. Reactive Terrain RC accepts no responsibility for loss of savings accounts, late night AliExpress browsing, arguments with the other half, or mystery appearances of yet another RC package on your doorstep. By watching this video, you automatically agree to them terms and conditions whether you read this or not, which is probably not really the case because honestly, whoever listens to this part will read this part anyway.
Evening all. Right, well it's going to be another build from me, and this one's been on the cards for quite some time. I actually brought the Volkswagen body pretty much as soon as it come out and put it in the parts drawer and left it there, and kind of just been collecting parts well, probably for the last 6 months really, and then we got a few parts from Injora which kind of finished the jigsaw puzzle, and I'm super excited to get this build done. And actually this build for me is not going to be one that I'm going to be tumbling down rock formations and stuff like that. I'm going to keep this one pretty clean. So we're going to open some parts, we're going to check them out, and yeah, we're going to build this bad boy up. I'm probably not going to go the same route as a lot of people do with these bugs, where they have quite large wheels and tires on them. I'm going to stick to a tiny tire build for this one. I've got a lot of Injora parts, but I'm also going to be running a ramp crab chassis. The reason I went for that is because it's gold yellowy color, so it kind of matches the kind of theme throughout the build. Just need to make sure I do it right, because I've got a few things that I'm going to change with the body. I'm actually going to be cutting out the rear engine section on it. When we have a look at the body, I'll show you what I mean. It's just a vacuum formed shape. What I want to do is pack a scaled looking motor in the back of that. The printer is running off a test, so I can kind of eye it in and test for measurements and stuff like that. So while that's printing off, let's take a little look and see what goodies we got to throw on this this bad boy bug. Right, here we are at my humble demo. Yeah, my good old workbench. A little bit cleaner than it normally is, but I've got quite a lot of parts on. And this is what inspired the build. When Injora packed this out, I think it's beginning of the year, maybe. I've definitely had it for the best part of this year, sat around, and it's been kind of sat in the box. And I actually went for the burnt orange because I actually own a orange bug. Not this color, but it is a burnt orange, but it's weathered and, you know, all kinds of stuff. So yeah, this is really nice. A lot smaller than you think. It's actually kind of like the 133 wheelbase, but I know people obviously extend it and you know, kind of pack out with some really big wheels and tires. We're not going to be doing that. I'm going to keep in this really low, nice small tires, 1.0 wheels, and just kind of making it as scaled as I can. I was also thinking I might detail or mask these up and spray these satin black, just to give the bonnet pockets a little bit of definition. There's a little bit of line work on the door. It has got a recess in it, so I'll probably detail that up as well, especially on the bonnet as well. There's a little line that we can run a little pen in there as well, just to kind of bring that out a bit. With this body you get a nice little caged interior, and this is what I was saying about the back. You see how it's a vacuum formed kind of engine looking the pup bay. It kind of clicks in here really nice. Let's put this down. And sits on its body pins. So my plan is, there we go. The plan is to actually remove it along this black line and then put in a full scaled detailed engine bay in it, and then I'll decide how I want to run the exhaust, whether I kind of have one coming out here or whether I stick a EMPI one on it or something like that. Dash and little cockpit comes off, a couple of screws and unclicks from the front. I'm just going to detail up just a couple of bits just so it's not a mono black. One of the things I do like to do is I've got this really nice flat black, and that quite often will just do enough to distinguish certain items. Maybe we'll give it a bit of silver gear knob or something like that as well. Just notice that there's two little screws on here as well, which take the pins off, and then you can actually drop that out. It's interesting. It does come with obviously the stickers, which looks super cool, on clear as well, which is kind of the first time I've ever seen clear stickers from a manufacturer. Then you get a lamp, light bar to go on top, magnets and mounts, and then you also get a front bumper beam. Now that's going to be interesting because that is designed for the SCX24 chassis, and we are not running a SCX24 chassis. So let's put this to one side and have a look at the chassis. All right, so this is the ramp crab chassis. Yeah, these things are super cheap off of Amazon, and actually I really like them. I've had a few ramp crab chassis. My 6x6 is built on one of them. We've had the Gladiator version, and this is a slightly newer chassis that's come out, and comes with a brass skid, which is a nice little touch, and pretty much everything you need to do. A bit of hardware, a bit of cable management, a couple of 3D printed parts for your ESC trays, your body mounts and stuff like that. It'd be interesting to see how these kind of fit on. Some little rock sliders and plenty of hardware. Overall, you kind of get what you pay for, but you can't really go wrong for, I think these were like £19 off of Amazon. For 19 quid, it's not too bad. Now I could have gone with an Injora chassis, but I actually wanted this kind of colour underneath it just to match the bodywork slightly, which is why I went for this chassis. It's also nice and small, so I think with the body it's going to work really nice and get it all tidy. That is the chassis. This is a free little gift you get from Injora at the moment. Pretty cool. I do like the slogan of it. I've actually got my hands tied up, so let's see if I can actually open this one-handed. The answer to the one-handed question was I couldn't. Yeah, but it's super cool, you know. I like these type of things, you know, just these little things that just, I don't know, they really do make a difference. Nice bit of carbon fibre as well, solid bit of carbon fibre. Work sucks, let's play RC, always good. So yeah, these are running as a gift at the moment if you spend over a certain amount. Right, so nothing fancy. Drive shafts, didn't go for brass ones, just got deadbolt. Got myself some brass links. These are deadbolt as well. I've got a couple of different types of links as well, so if these don't work, I do have a couple of different versions. Again, we've used Injora so much in the past. I've got so many parts for Injora. I know the quality is really good. A couple of 40mm big bores. Love these shocks. These are one of my favorite shocks from Injora. These got the brass bottoms on them. Again, just going with that yellowy kind of tone to match with the burnt orange. Hopefully it'll work. I'm sure it will. All right, let's talk wheels. These are the new wheels from Injora, so we're going to open those up, and I'm super excited because we also have a set of Planets as well. And these, I was going to run the Mias on this build. I actually have some Mias front axles, but these will just be absolutely spot on. I love the looks of these, super scaled. I'm going to open them up and we can take a look at those two. Powerhouse, Fat Viper. We run the Purple Viper in 4 of our different rigs, so we know what that's like. We don't actually have a Fat Viper, so we're going to put one of these into this to see what it's like. I have used plenty of these. These are a really good solid motor, bit big for some of the builds, but for this build I think it'd be perfect, he says. I hope. But that's what we're going to run. All right, and then it's tire time. So I actually have a set of new Mavericks. These are 63mm, a little bit big than what I was planning on going for the Bug. I will measure them out to see what they look like, but honestly I wasn't planning on going that big. And then I've also got some Swamp Stompers, but again these are also 63 by 24s. So I did pick up some RC all-wheel drive tires, which I think I might go with because they are super scaled. I've actually got some fatty patties over here, and I think these are the TSL boggers. I was at a show and managed to grab some nice scaled looking tires, but until we get the Bug on a chassis and get the wheels on, we don't really know what we're looking at. Let's open these. All right, let's do this. This is the Planet axles. The moment these were released, I was quite excited about the potentials of scale builds and stuff like that, because these really do have a nice scale look to them. You know, I think sometimes you got to go for the scale look over performance, but there's a few little things on these that I just think are super good. And let's have a little look. Oh, I don't know which one this is. So these are actually in the grey as well. So this is the front in grey. Oh, boxes in there tight. Ooh. Nice, look at those. Yes. All right. Loads of hardware with them. Let's scalpel these out. Yeah, these are really, really nice. Nice and round. Looking a little bit more like a 1-1 axle. And one of the touches I really like is these brass hubs they've got on it. And they've tapered it into, you know, a triangle so that, you know, your weight's at the bottom rather than it being kind of a 50-50, you know, full circle. They've actually got the weight and dropped it down right down here, and that's a really nice touch. I really like that. That's smart design there. That's initiative thinking. Someone should get a raise for that. All right, that's the front. Let's have a look at the rear. Try not to be like a kid at Christmas where you just rip the box open, but you know. Okay. So it comes with a really nice rear link riser as well, by the looks of it. Didn't come with a servo mount, so we'll have to source one of those. Hardware, a nice little rear link riser, plenty of options on the back of that as well, and yeah, the rear axle. These aren't overly heavy as well, which is quite nice. I mean, they're not brass or anything, so that's yeah, these look really, really nice. Super cool. All right, so that's the axles. While we're here, let's take a little look at these new wheels as well. These things are tasty. Look at those. Man, they are super clean. Loving the pattern inside. Yeah, they're going to sit nice on it. Really going to make that body pop with that colour. Yeah. Nice. Alright, well, there's no point admiring it. It's not going to build itself, so I suppose I better get building. I have to say, I'm just building up this Ramp Crab chassis, and they're definitely up their game in hardware. These are actually sleeved bolts, so you have a shaft and then threaded, which is a nice touch for the links. And yeah, everything just feels a little nicer. You know, when they first come out, their chassis, you know, there was quite a bit of discrepancy in a few bits and bobs, and you know, we kind of accept you pay for what you get. But the nice thing is they've kept the price low and seem to kind of up their game a little bit with their hardware and stuff. So yeah, nice. Right, I'm just building up the chassis, and then we can try and get the wheelbase dialed in. I'm not sure whether deadbolt's gonna work, but we'll get it all we'll get it mocked up, and then we'll see where it lies on the body. You know, this is kind of sitting on the fins, these fins where my thumb is. I can't move it because if I let go it's all gonna fall, but you can see where my thumb is. It's kind of in line there. That's quite a lot of gap when I'm about to go tiny tire. And then the front axle is kind of where I'm at. So kind of trying to get that just off the line, probably just where the tip of the chassis is sitting. So it's kind of leaving me in a bit of a conundrum. I don't want it looking, you know, monster truck like or jacked up too crazy. I'm trying to go for a quite nice scaled small tire build. And I mean, I did just have a crazy idea that this has a cutout at the back, and the Purple Viper sits quite high, which means the motor pushes the body up higher, and we are going to be running, you know, 54s or 56s on this, so we've got enough room to slow it down. I could go completely crazy and just spin the chassis round. So this would then be the front, this would then be the rear. This would then put the motor in the back of that. And yes, I know we're meant to have all the weight at the front, it'll never work, but I could then put a battery over the front and put a little bit more weight on the front to counterbalance it. I don't want to be cutting the body up. I could put a slightly lower gearbox in it. That might be the case. I could put that in there. That's super low. Decisions. I mean, that is a nice ESC and motor. It's a lot smaller than the Purple Viper. We keep everything a lot lower down. Anyway, I'll have a look, because this definitely sits high with the big purple motor. I don't know. Oh, I need to move that around. The cable's sticking right up there. I need to spin it around so the cable sits down a little bit more, because that doesn't help. So if you're wondering what tyre I was going to go for, it's these, the RC all drive Thornbirds. I mean, they look absolutely brilliant. What a great looking tyre, nice and soft, super small. These things are, there's the packet, let's have a look. So they are the X2S3 compound. It doesn't actually have any measurements on there, and I think it's so small on here. Yeah, it's quite small, can't see it, but there is a way of doing it. If I just find my
micrometer somewhere amongst everything under here. Let's have a little look. Ooh, 48s. Wow, they are small. What are these? These are 52s. So super tinies. Well, let's get it on. It might look super stupid. Right. Tires. So, ooh, don't drop that. That sticky thing's a sticky term. These Thornbirds are super nice. Also very, very small. Super small. 48 millimeters to be precise. So I'm kind of ummed and ahed. They look a little bit too small for it. It would look great if I was doing like a low ride, but it's still got to go kind of off-road. But I do have on my project list to get an FCX 24M black D110, and these would go great on it. I did, however, dig out these. Okay, so it's the the DJ Crawler tires, the on-road ones. These were in our tiny tire shootouts. They're actually surprisingly very good, and I know a lot of people like it. And actually, kind of looks all right. They're a little big, but I think by the time this is up, it might be okay. I do kind of like the small front and big rear, but again, it's hard to get proportion with what we have lying around, you know, in the market. I think these are just a little too small, and they're just a smidge too big, but I think would suit the build a bit better, kind of give it that Baja kind of rod look. I think also, I think with the slightly bigger wheels, the wheelbase works a little bit better as well. So I think it's probably going to go with the slightly bigger tires. I can't remember what these are. They're under 60s, I know that. They're 56 mils, so yeah, you know, 8 mil more than the Thornbird. Alright guys, so Injora are really good at giving you everything you need, like spacers and stuff like that. And when you're putting on suspension, it is super important to make sure you space out your shocks to give them a nice clean travel. Here's another top tip for anybody that's ever wrecked some axles. Use a long bolt or a longer bolt so it actually starts coming out the other side, so that if it does snap, you can pull it from this side with a pair of tweezers. All right, so if this snapped in there or this snapped off here, you could easily get it. So make sure you just, it's only a little bit, but it's enough to grab if something went pear-shaped. All right, I'm gonna get the other side on. All right, so just check the geometry of these shocks at the rear. They're slightly splayed out, and that's okay. I could swap that out for one of these smaller inserts they give you. There's a couple of them, even in the ramp crab chassis. Yeah, in the ramp crab chassis kit, they give you some shock spacers, which is super good, and a load of washers and some little nuts. Injora also sell these separately, so you can just get a pack of suspension spacers and, you know, sort your geometry out so that you've got, you know, some nice soft suspension. No binds, no anything. Really nice and fluid, and that's what you're looking for. Like I say, I might just take this one out, although the gap there is quite tight, and just pull it in a smidge. But it's not caused me any problems at the moment, so I'm really happy with that. So I'm going to get the front on,
Get the upper link risers in so I can get the links on and try and get this stable. Right, it's Wednesday evening. I didn't really get much done yesterday because I was looking at colleges with my eldest. Yes, I've reached that time with one of my kids that were looking at colleges, so super cool and actually very impressed with him. But that's not very RC like. So posted a couple of pictures on social media of this thing absolutely slammed to its belly, and it does look super cool. And although it's not overly practical and quite impossible to do with this chassis I've got, I think it's definitely laid a seed in my creative brain for a build in the future. But for now, we're going to build this super clean V-dub, and I just wanted to actually bring up a little tip or trick, I guess, about combating servos. This here is a standard servo mount you can get with most servos. The problem being is that these here quite often sit quite high, so that when you use 11 kilos or something a little, bigger, there's a deeper servo, it clashes and it ends up on the tilt. So by combating that, what I generally do is I put a wheel weight and they fit perfectly. So this is actually 10 grams underneath, spaced out perfectly. So now the servo, yes, does sit higher, but instead of putting the weight on top of the servo and having the weight higher, I put the weight at the bottom. Height's still the same even if you put the weight on the top, but it means that we're underneath, lower down, lower weight. A much better way than putting it on top. The other thing this also does is obviously raise the servo horn up slightly as well, which gives you a bit more clearance when you're coming up to rocks and stuff like that. So yeah, it's one of my little favorite things to do, especially when I'm upgrading to the bigger servos, is instead of packing weight on top, put it underneath, and then you can get away with using most off-the-shelf servo mounts. Let's take a look. All right, so here we are. This is where we're at so far. Pretty happy with the stance. The shocks aren't too lean back, which is a bonus. All right, so I have to say, these are really nice little body mounts on the old ramp crab chassis. Definitely up their game. This is actually milled aluminium, a bit of carbon fibre. Sits quite nice and low. It's about as low as I could get it without. Does actually just hits the servo, but actually the shocks are out of shock anyway, so it's kind of perfect really. The one thing I have done is actually banded my shocks, because what you don't want is these just to offload quite easy. These shocks are super smooth. I probably could do with a little more drop of oil in them maybe, just to slow them down a little bit more. But like everybody does in the community, loom bands, although I use braid bands, they're a little bit thicker, a little bit more torsion to them. Loom bands are a little softer, and I kind of just bind up with these bands here just to slow that offload down a little bit more. I don't know if you'll see the difference. Let's take these off. Oh yeah, look. Doesn't even give me a chance to lift the wheels before it's kind of off the floor. So that gives you a good idea of what these are actually doing. Let's get that in back on, and then we'll be able to see the difference. See, I can actually lift them off the floor before the shocks are fully offloaded, and there's still loads more left in there. All right, so that's what I've done with that. I'm going to run the purple Viper in this, the slightly smaller one. This just sits up really high, so save that for another project. I'm going to put purple Viper in here, and then we can well, finish off. I got to put the actual wheels and tires on properly. Debating whether to put foam in these or not. Leave them foamless, put foam in. I don't know, I might beat them up real tight so that the air that's in them stays in them slightly, because they're not vented rings. Or I might tape, if they are, I might tape it up and just keep some of the air in it. It's not like I'm going to be driving this through gallons of water, so I might do that. And then I think come tomorrow night we should be ready to take it on the course. There is one little surprise that I'm going to work on tonight. Alright, so what I've done is I've actually trimmed the back engine bay off, just reshaped it. And the reason for that is because I did that. So I've got to detail it up, which I'll get done tonight, ready for tomorrow's video in. And that sits in the original carry of the engine bay. A lot more detail, big old turbo. So yeah, gonna have a little bit of fun tonight with this, painting it up. Get some electrics in it, and yeah, looking forward to hitting the course tomorrow. Alright, so just a little bit of detailing on the engine bay. Yeah, always nice just to add a little few, nothing crazy. It's not like, you know, proper diorama stuff or super realistic, but you know, it's enough to make it stand out and look cool. One thing I might do is I might just change the geometry of the rear shocks. If we look at the car at the moment, it's actually flat, but it actually is a 7-degree angle on that. So that really, for that to be effective, needs to be up there somewhere. So I might just pop these down a couple more just to pull that back end up, just to bring that in check. But other than that, I think it's time to get these wheels done and put the stickers on the body, mag mounts on. Well, finish the build, because you ain't gonna do nothing around the course like this. So this is the little Purple Viper. We did a review back when this came out, and I'm still running the same motor. I've never had any issues with it whatsoever. It's still running in my jawbreaker. Honestly, I really do enjoy this motor. I've now got a couple of them running some rigs. For the UK, they are extremely affordable, and yeah, you know, it is a little bulky, the ESC. You know, I think that's maybe something they could shrink down a little bit more and make it a little bit more compact, but you know, it's just a really good straightforward installation. You get everything you need as well. It's already got pinion on it, it's got your housing, so for a plug and play, it's fantastic. It isn't 3S though, it's still only 2S, and it never says it's waterproof, so I haven't tested that. I'm not going to either. If it doesn't say it, there's a good reason it probably doesn't. A, not to promote it, and B, it probably isn't. Alright guys, here's another top tip while we're doing this build. This has no foam in it. Nope. It has got a low, you know, a small, very fraction amount of PSI. And basically what I do is I tape up the vent hole on the rings. That one there. Tape it up, and I make sure that the tyres are nice and clean, hot soapy water before doing this, and they're all really dry, and then just a clean rim fit. And yeah, a nice bit of squidginess in it. Now if you did you know, really squeeze that, it probably would pop the bead, so, but we're going to give it a go. Just feels so much better than kind of foams or inserts. A couple more to do. All right, so here we are. It's a nice rainy evening in the UK, and very mild still. G-Dog will be happy, although I think the weather turns next week. But yeah, here we go. This is the Injora Bug. I'm gonna take the body off. Let's have a good look and see what's going on. This thing looks super cool, and yeah, definitely laid a few seeds in my head regarding the couple of posts I put out on social media of the body looking really low stance. I mean, it's completely unfunctional and actually not easy to build like that. You'd have to have a designated chassis, and well, let's just say the boy might be on it. Let's have a look. All right, so I kind of kept it as the Bug. You know, the sticker vinyl set that comes with it looks super cool. I've gone for this dune buggy-esque, couple of Injora flags on the back, the 3D printed engine, so I got rid of that kind of molded engine and added a nice scaled, and this thing looks absolutely killer on it. The Planet axles from Injora are just stunning. The machinery is really nice. They went together super easy, big bores on it. Put the Purple Viper in there, and it's all complemented by this ramp crab chassis, which again went together really nice. I didn't have any machine problems with this one. I have had a few where I've had a few machining issues where I may have had to just file a few things. Nothing at all. The uplink riser, super clean. It's just lovely. It really is just beautiful. Right, and it's all powered by the Purple Viper and the 11 kg Injora servo with those turning angles of the planets. Just insane. Now, it is just squeaking on that side of the slider. Doesn't do it the other side, but just got a little bit of touch here. Now, we've done a few videos on the Purple Viper. It is a super smooth, super clean, super slow, compact little motor. Really nice. I use this in quite a few of my rigs, especially when you want a lot of control and climbing ability. I'm not sure this is going to be the best climber when it comes down to rock crawling. I am using these on-road DJ tires, but if you go back and watch our tiny tire shootout, you'll realize that these things actually came quite high in the competition. Also, no foams, air. Yep, packed air into them to make them squidgy and bouncy. All right, let's get the body on it and let's go do some crawling. All right, so I've just pulled the first few lines with this, and damn, this thing is planted. Rubbing the dust and dirt off here. Poor little axles. We're gonna get scratches. Yeah, really planted. Wasn't well, I don't know what I was expecting really. I mean, we'll have a little play next door. It's a little dark over here in the old Japanese section, but we'll have a little go in here. Anybody that does YouTubing or builds or anything like that, these things are fantastic. As I've been using this whilst building that, just for extra light. It's called Lect Hour LEDs, so that's LETOUR. You get them off of Amazon, and they're just fantastic. They're just helping me out actually tonight with a bit of light around the bug, just trying to get some good shots. We don't have too much light this side, although I think it may be. So I've turned the camera around. I'll have a light down. That's probably why. I don't know where that one's powered from. Goes G-Dog Special. But yeah, that one looks like it may be on the way out. It might just be the transformer, but it's cool. We're all good. Well, let's pull some lines. Right here gives you some idea of how crazy this line is. I'm having to really kind of work a different angle with the bug. We got up it, we just couldn't go as steep as what like the jawbreaker and stuff like that goes. This is only a what? Only a deadbolt 135 wheelbase, so I'm quite comfortable doing the elevations. Right on the battery. Oh no, we're back. There'll be batteries on the way out. Got one of these that lasts ages, and this one doesn't last so much. See what it's like going up. Yeah, no problem at all. Does it finally die? Time for a new battery. Well, that's the battery changed. A little bit more. Yeah, it's a bit more poke. Yeah. Alright, let's take on the rock bunny. Ooh. Right. And I'm going to have to commit as soon as it releases. There we go. Nice. Oh, just great. Just really good. 40mm big bores. They are becoming more and more my favourite go-to spring and oil shock. I quite often use the internal sprung kind of 30, I don't know what they are, they're tiny little things. I quite like them on scaled builds, but these big boards I seem to be putting on all my builds. I have been for a while now. Razzie do a set, Injora do a great set. They're just an all-round good shock. Alright, so there you go. Not as much wheel time I was hoping for. The first battery died really quickly, although I charged it before I come out. And this one has almost gone as well. And I've got some scratches on it, and some dirt, and some mud. Ah, well. Anywho, I've in the description, I've listed all the parts that I've used in this build, and yeah, the tires, yeah, we definitely probably could do with some grip, especially around reactive terrain. Like I say, these tires did quite well in the showdown, but it was a really light chassis, not something with this much weight, so maybe weight isn't their friend. Maybe they're better for a more lighter, compact rig. The performance of these axles are super smooth, and I actually managed to get it in quite a few little bind spots, especially where the wheels and tires are just spinning, just pushing those drive shafts inside the axles. How, you know, it's one of the most common problems here is binds and breaking axle shafts, so gonna see if they're durable. The 11 kilo servo works really well. It's got a good response to it, and yeah, can't fault it at all. It definitely got a nice bit of speed to it. Other than that, everything else is off the shelf. It's deadbolt links, Planet axles, the Modo wheels, or the modular wheels, which super nice, and these have still got air in them. They haven't gone down, they haven't lost their air in them. There's so much sand. The big bores, Purple Viper, the Ramp Crab chassis really was I think a good call on the chassis side of thing. It's really clean and tidy, clearly nice and capable. 7 degrees skid, so it's in a class 2. Yeah, it's a really solid build. And other than loom band in the shocks, I didn't really have to kind of tinker or DIY something to work. Everything on it is bolted on, and I think with some good tires, this thing is going to be really, really capable for a short wheelbase. When I say short wheelbase, 135mm. So this isn't the last time you're going to see this. In fact, it's only the beginning. Body come up really, really nice. Now, I didn't actually commit to putting the lamp on top. I'm still debating whether I put round lights on top or whether I put the strip. Not too sure. Didn't use the front bumper, couldn't get it on the chassis, and I didn't want to put it through on the body. So yeah, a couple of things I'm still going to work on. The motor come up great. This will be available as an STL on our website, so I'll leave a link in the description below. And yeah, generally speaking, I loved it. I'll bring it out for G-Dog at the weekend, see what he thinks. All right, guys, I'm going to go and run this battery out. Gonna have a little bit of fun, see if it can actually do something. No, I'm joking. Yeah, I'll see you in the next one.